So let's say you found the skeleton. How would you tell people that this was you personally? How would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
You're gonna need to mute that. All right, and welcome to the next episode of Leaving Young Earth Creationism. This time with Eric Vierthaler, 92, or sometimes not the 92, depending on where we're talking.
Hello, Eric. Hello, everybody.
Hello, and also happy birthday to Dragon Master, who apparently is having a birthday today. I hope you have a wonderful birthday, and that this becomes a nice part of it, a nice little birthday present. So, as you might know, this is sort of a streamed series where I am trying to inadequately fill the shoes left by the late Bill Ludlow, who had started this series of interviewing people about how they got into and out of young Earth creationism. And so every single one of these streams is to some degree in memory of Bill Ludlow, because when he passed, the world of science education lost a great advocate. So, and I can't match him on most things, but I feel like I can't, or hardly anything really, but I can continue this series, so absolutely. So, at this point, I'm going to start asking some questions of Eric here. So, Eric, how did you get to be a young Earth creationist, and about how old were you when that happened?
Well, most people, for most people, it was something what they grew up with, and it's something that was a part of their life since childhood. But that's definitely not the case for me at all, and that's why my story is very, very different than a lot of other people's stories. And so, for the longest time, I honestly never even knew what YEC even was, and I didn't find out about it until actually back in 2018 when I had that big question, well, what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? It was because of the fact that I felt that was a big thing for the Bible to leave out, and then I would ask my mom, hey, what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? And then she would just bring up this verse in the Bible. I can't remember exactly where, that a day to the Lord is like 1,000 years. And so then I just thought, all right, well, when it says in the Bible, that he made everything in 6 days, it's just talking about a long period of time. But so many Christians would make such a big deal about evolution, and I thought that, well, maybe there's something that I'm missing. And so then I decided, maybe I need to research it for myself. And so then I began that research in February 2018, and then I started that by typing in dinosaurs in the Bible on YouTube, and the majority of videos that you'll find on YouTube by typing that in is a bunch of YEC propaganda.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me because most other people don't talk about those two things together.
And so the very first video that I came across was one called Forbidden History, Dinosaurs and the Bible. And that was my first time ever being exposed to like the Ica stones, the behemoth and whatnot. And at that time, I never even heard of any of that. So I was shocked, and I was like, I can't believe I've never heard of any of this. Excuse me. So then that was when I started to doubt. That was when I was starting to doubt that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago, and that's why I was so shocked. I was like, oh my goodness, I have grew up, believing that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago, but yet, here's all of this evidence like that, evidence like that dinosaurs and humans coexisted within 6,000 years ago. And so that was when I was starting to doubt it. But then by May, it was because of the fact that I was asking so many people about, pastors and whatnot, about dinosaurs and the Bible. And then eventually led to. Going to a Young Earth Creationist museum over where I live. It's about 3 hours away. It's called the Glendive Dinosaur and Fossil Museum, which is actually the thumbnail of this video. I
Yes.
drove all the.
And you supplied the original photo that I used for that, so thank you. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so I went to that museum May 19th of 2018, and then when I went to that museum for the very first time, that was when I full on converted to YEC.
Okay, so what was education like in as far as school before this about these topics? Like, was there any extensive time given to things like the geological column or evolution in your school? Or do you feel like you were sort of not well enough educated to refute these things immediately because of a lack in that area?
Well, when I was in high school, this is what I really, really regret, but I honestly didn't really try that hard with my education. It was because of the fact that I hated high school because, it's high school, all the drama and whatnot. And so then I just wanted it to be done and over with. And so then that was why I didn't really care.
Okay.
And so, so that's the huge reason as to why that I'm going back to school, and whatnot. It's just so that that way I can, redeem myself from that. But yeah, interesting enough, my mom is actually a teacher at the high school that I went to. And my mom has mentioned like that, the high school that I went to does teach evolution, and she also has, and she said that, oh well, we can teach the kids anything that we want to, and she has mentioned that there have been some issues like with like some Christian parents with that, but there also have been some like who don't, and that's interesting. So there are actually three high schools where I live at, and one of the biology teachers is actually a Christian, and I met him, and yeah, he was all telling me about how he gets a lot of crap and like from a lot of young Earth creationist parents here.
That's not terribly surprising.
It's not, and yeah, he also said it's pretty hard for him to deal with that, especially on a regular basis.
So, how long did you stay a young Earth creationist? So you said you became a creationist in 20, what was it?
Well, I have been a Christian longer than that. I converted to Christianity itself in 2014, but as far as young Earth creationism, I guess I started to convert in May of 2018, and then I full on converted to young Earth creationism in May 2018.
So it wasn't all that long then, huh?
Yeah.
So when did you stop being a young Earth creationist?
All right. Well, where are my notes so I can remember everything? Okay, so for the longest time, sorry, I was dating this one girl who lived in Bozeman, and down in Bozeman, they have the Museum of the Rockies, but at the Museum of the Rockies, of course, they do not teach young Earth creationism. They teach an old Earth and evolution. And so, and with me being big into paleontology, geology, and dinosaurs and prehistoric life and whatnot, I of course wanted to go. And even though that I knew that they taught an old Earth and evolution, I just wanted to go anyway, just so that I could look at their specimens and whatnot and check those out. But so at the Museum of the Rockies, they actually have this one exhibit where you can see the scientists do what they're doing, and you also can talk to them too. Talking to them was starting to give me a better idea as to how science works. And then, okay, I'm going to be jumping ahead a little bit, and so.
Oh, we have a quick question that I like. Why do you think people accept YEC? Is it truly convincing, or is it just so easy to learn? This is for you.
I think that it's because the fact that people like Ken Ham really like to get them who had like those gotcha questions, or not questions, those gotcha moments like, oh, well, you can't have no death before sin. Oh, you have to interpret Adam and Eve literally. Oh, you have to interpret the days literally, because if not, well, then you're not a true Christian.
Okay. So would you say that for you, perhaps the fact that it concorded with the theology you already believed was a big selling point for young Earth creationism?
That honestly, I honestly was convinced by the evidence. It mostly was because of the fact that back then I never thought about like the true origin like of dragons. At that time, I thought, hey, dragons and dinosaurs do seem pretty similar, and so it was because of that was why that was the big reason that why that I was convinced of YEC. It was because of the fact that I thought that at that time, like that, that this is the best data, like that subscribes to the idea of the origin of dragons. But then, of course, later on, I figured out that it wasn't.
Okay. And so, getting back to the story of you leaving, you said you were talking to scientists at the Museum of the Rockies, and I guess they were doing what, paleontology?
Yeah, and I believe they found a triceratops, not a femur, but some sort of rib or something like that. And when they were doing that, I was just talking to them about it, and I didn't want to say I was a young Earth creationist, but I pretty much like was asking them, oh well, how do you know it's old, and whatnot, and then that was a little bit of a planting of the seed, and then there's actually a lot of other stuff like that, that got me to finally leave young Earth creationism. That summer, a friend of mine who has been a good friend of mine for years, she shared this article about how people still believe that the Earth is flat, and when I saw that, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! There are still people who think that the Earth is flat." And then I really wanted to know, okay, why do people still think that the Earth is flat? And so I researched it for myself, and part of it I discovered it was because of taking verses in the Bible very literally. And then seeing that kind of started me to question, okay, do I really need to take the Bible this literally? Like, the firmament, the four corners of the earth, the pillars and whatnot.
So, biblical flat earthers helped you get out of young Earth creationism? Because that's actually really interesting.
Part of it, yes. And so
It's like, I don't want to be like these idiots. Get me out of here.
And what's funny is that, I thought that it would be a lot of fun, is if I would go argue with some flat earthers, and then to help me get equipped, I would watch a bunch of videos like by Team Skeptic and whatnot, and he also played a big part in helping me better understand science, and that also kind of helped me get away from young Earth creationism, and oh man, I will never forget how much fun that I had messing with all these flat earthers and arguing with them. And so I told Dapper this once, and so for all of you watching, there was this one flat earther who I got into an online debate with, and his ultimate, irrefutable, undebunkable proof that the Earth is flat, behold, the Earth is flat because football does not exist.
Yeah, you did tell me that one, and I still have trouble figuring out what the line of argument is.
When I heard that, that was when I lost all hope in humanity. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. And there also were a ton of flat earthers who I would come across who believed dinosaurs didn't exist, and that one really drove me nuts because of, you know, my passion for paleontology and whatnot.
So actually, I have a question about that. When did that come about? Because it seems like you were saying about how you weren't really trying very hard in high school. Was that something that came about later in life?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I've always had a passion for paleontology, but it's just, you know, just in high school, I just didn't really try that hard, which is something that I hate to be repetitive, but it's just something that I definitely regret, and I'm trying to redeem myself.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, if you were in my shoes in high school, you definitely would understand why, because I had to put up with a lot. I had to put up with a lot of crap then.
Okay.
And so, interesting enough, the first time that I went to that Young Earth Creationist Museum, there was this one YEC mom with her children. She was very, very dogmatic, and she was definitely very, very effrontery about, you know, her beliefs in YEC, saying, "Oh well, how can you be Christian and believe some of it but not all of it?" And I was like, well, and you know, after seeing like all those arguments from the flat Earth Christians, I was like, and then I finally realized, you know, you probably wouldn't believe, you know, you probably want to take all the Bible very literally too. And so then at their at their exhibit about the T-Rex soft tissue, they said that in their exhibit that, oh, evolutionists have just ignored all of the evidence for the T-Rex soft tissue being young. But when I went to Museum of the Rockies, they actually have an exhibit of that, and I was like, wait a minute, they said that they ignored it, but if that's the case, why do they have an exhibit about it?
Right. And the fact is, they don't ignore it.
And this is very telling, like, of that mom's character. I'm not trying to judge her, but this speaks about her character.
Is this like that woman who visited the museum and went around ranting to a camera about how this is all lies and how do they know, and calling a dinosaur skull a dragon? Is that like her? Is that who we're talking about?
Yeah, and then she actually lied about what that exhibit said at the YEC museum. She said, "Oh well, when Mary Schweitzer discovered the soft tissue, Museum of the Rockies said, 'Oh, sorry, but we're gonna have to let you go because of the fact that this goes against our model.'" But I actually have a picture of what the exhibit says, and it never said that. And then about Mary Schweitzer, we're gonna get into that later. And when I talked to her about it, she said, "Yeah, that was not the case at all." And it's like, you know, if you have to resort to lying, then you know, you might want to rethink some things. And so there were other things too that got me to leave, like let's see, then afterwards I would debate people online about dinosaurs living 6,000 years ago, but I got creamed. I mean, I got creamed so badly like that. It's pretty much like how Kent Hovind got creamed in his debate with you. I mean, that's how bad that I got creamed. And so then
that's rough. Although
yeah.
I honestly think the Conspiracy Cats debate from last night might have gone even worse for Kent Hovind.
Ouch.
In case you guys didn't see it in the live chat, it was on a Marvel Girls channel, which is just A Marvel Girl is the name of the channel. And Kent admitted on camera to not knowing what let's see, ERVs are, endogenous retroviruses, what isochron dating is, and I think most damningly, he doesn't know what an allele is and had to admit that on camera because conspiracy cats wouldn't let the questions go without him answering the questions that he actually asked. So, yeah, go watch that after you watch this.
Oh, I definitely will. And so, anyways, going back to my story, so that I then discovered that there is another dinosaur museum where I live that is that'll be the same amount of distance as the YEC one, even though I knew that one too taught an old Earth and evolution. I was like, hey, I want to go there anyway because I want to see their exhibits and whatnot. So when I arrived there, me and the person who worked there, excuse me, the museum I went to is the Great Plains Dinosaur Museum down in Malta, Montana, and interesting enough, I actually plan on going there this summer, for another fossil hunt. And so I was talking to her about about museums and whatnot. So then I mentioned the YEC museum, and I never even told her that I was a YEC at that time. And then she was like, the Creation Museum, pretty much asking me if that's a museum that I meant. I said yes. And then she said this in a very aggressive way. Yeah, they are not a science museum, and they never will be. And after she said that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's... Well, given what she's had to put up with from creationists, I'm not surprised that she has that strong a reaction. Because they lie about her and her work constantly.
Yeah, and then after that, she then told me about the Montana Dinosaur Trail, and I was like, wait, I haven't even heard of this. And so then she was like, yeah, that YEC museum is never going to be on here. And I was shocked. And so then I went through that museum, seeing all this evidence for an old Earth and an evolution, even more so than at the Museum of the Rockies. And there's actually two museums there. And at the second museum that I was literally right across the street, I then saw the evidence for the evolution of ceratopsians, and it became very apparent through each layer. You could see the evolution of their frill and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is okay. It's just super, super obvious. The evolution has to be a thing. And they also were talking about the evolution of dinosaurs, theropods, and birds. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, this is super, super obvious that evolution is a thing.
Right.
And so then afterwards, I then found a series of videos called Science versus the Ark Encounter by a guy by the name of John Perry, who runs Stated Clearly.
Yep, I've watched those. Those are good.
And honestly, actually, I believe, I can't remember if I saw those series of videos before or after the Malta Museum, but okay, so before then, I was a big-time Ken Ham subscriber. I would watch his sermons. So whenever my dog and I would go to the dog park, I would always would listen to his sermons on the Bluetooth on my car. I would listen to them on my phone when my dog and I would be at the dog park. I mean, I was a big-time Ken Ham supporter. But when I saw those videos, Science versus the Ark Encounter, if you have not seen those videos, what are you doing? Go out and watch them. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, atheist, Jedi, whatever. Go watch them.
No, I agree. They are good.
Seeing those videos really exposed to me that Ken Ham is deliberately misleading people. And then and right there, right then was when that I unsubscribed to all of his YouTube channels, Facebook pages, and everything. And I also saw his video, "Did Dinosaurs Live with Humans?" which was perfect as to what as to what my research was all about. And then, then when he mentioned bio logos, I was starting to realize, I really need to rethink my theology. And that also was when I discovered, this is not the first time that the science and the church have collided. It's because of what happened with Copernicus, Galileo, and whatnot, and the fact that science has actually been helping us better understand the Bible. And so, so even though that I really wanted Behemoth to be a dinosaur.
I mean, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah, it would. It would be fantastic. But I was like, you know what? I can't let this bias, prevent me. I have to look at the evidence. Bottom line, I have to let the evidence bring me to my conclusion. And that was really, really hard for me to let that go. It was because of the fact that I really wanted the Bible to say something about dinosaurs. But it was then when I finally realized, the whole point, I was missing the whole point as to what the whole point of the Bible is. The point of the Bible is not to tell you when the dinosaurs lived. The bottom line is to establish the relationship between humans and God, and then it was after I saw those videos by John Perry. And speaking of John Perry, sorry to be off topic a little bit, I actually did do a podcast with him. And if any of you ever want to watch that podcast, I have it on my channel. And so.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
And actually,
so,
your channel is linked. Oh, can you mute the stream?
Say what?
Do you have the stream audio open?
No.
I'm getting feedback through my from my mic. But anyway, Eric's channel is linked in the description to this video, as well as his debates with both Kent Hovind as well as Cody, last name
Sorensen.
I was saying it earlier, last night to AT2 Productions and Eric. I was telling him about that debate, and I was like, I think it's like Simpson or Swanson or something with an S.
Almost have it.
Yeah. So yeah, those were both very interesting debates. I moderated the Cody Sorensen debate. So yeah, if you please go ahead and check out Eric's channel. You have some counter-creationist stuff and some movie stuff. Seem to be the two big things there, right?
And yes, and I also do a comedy series I call Things That Piss Me Off, and the whole joke of the series is about how like an overly exaggerated version of myself rants about these normal life everyday things. And the whole joke is as to how angry some guy that can get over nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I think your last one was about the potential for a Jaws remake, right?
Yeah.
Because we obviously need a Jaws remake in the world. Jaws wasn't good enough on its own. We got to do better somehow.
Yeah, and then the one I did before was about how you have to repeat yourself over and over and over again.
Okay. Yeah, so do check out Eric's channel. It is linked in the description.
Oh yeah, sorry, there was one other thing. So this is really, really, really important from me leaving YEC. So I actually started to leave YEC in mid to late August of 2018. So I was not a YEC for that very long. And what I think made it easy for me to leave YEC more so than other people, it was because of the fact that my parents, both of them are Christians, and they also believe in an old Earth and evolution. So then my parents didn't care if I was theistic evolution, young Earth creationism, or young Earth creationist, whatever. And so, and so, and so that made it a lot easier for me to leave. And then after the Malta, so after the thing with Malta, after John Perry's videos, I then thought, hey, I want to find out the absolute truth about this T-Rex, T-Rex, not Rex, T-Rex soft tissue. It was because the fact that that's one of the big arguments from YECs, and that also was one of the big arguments that I used to use too. And but yet I never even used that, but I never even would use that argument when I would debate people online about it, and I'm actually surprised that I didn't. And so then I thought to myself, okay, I want to find out the absolute truth about this. And so then I thought the one person who could tell me the absolute truth about it better than anybody else is the one who made the discovery, Mary Schweitzer herself. It kind of was intimidating for me to go reach out to her.
Oh,
you
I
know,
can
just
bet, yeah.
knowing as to who she is, but yet, truth really, really mattered to me about it. So I did my research. I actually found her, number. I called, and no answer, so I left a voicemail. Then the very next day, I was sleeping, and I got a phone call. That phone call woke me up, and then when I answered, I was all tired. I was all zombie-like, oh. But then once I heard her voice, and once she said who she was, oh man, I got the adrenaline rush of a lifetime, and my eyes got super wide, and I immediately jumped out of bed, and I was like, yeah, this is an important phone call, and I need to I need to wake up now.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, out of all things to wake me up, it's definitely very interesting that that's what woke me up. And so then she gave me because she said she was lacking time. It was like a 7-minute or so phone call. And she told me like the real story for what happened. And she told me, how it was done, and how it does not support YECs. And she also told me about how a lot of her students will come to her bawling their eyes out because of the fact that they feel like that they have to give up their faith because of evolution. And so hearing that made me feel a lot. It made me feel a lot more anger towards people like Ken Ham. Just knowing the fact that he's making a lot of these Christians feel that way. I mean, that's a really good way to make a Christian lose their faith, and then to become an atheist. And there's a ton of, the majority of atheists were actually once Christians, and the majority of them will say, yeah, I felt like I had to give up my faith because of, the overwhelming evidence that the earth is old, when I was taught that, the earth is 6,000 years old. And then Mary Schweitzer then told me about how the soft tissue was preserved like by iron. And she also told me the stuff that YECs always ignore about that T-Rex soft tissue, which I even figured, which was the planning of the seed before then, when I saw the big exhibit at Museum of the Rockies.
Right.
And so, and yeah, and then yeah, it was, but yeah, talking to Mary Schweitzer was definitely the final nail of the coffin, was when yeah, it was when I was like, yeah, no more.
Okay.
And then, and
So we have a question. So,
for me,
yeah, when you were a young Earth creationist, did you think that fires, hurricanes, etc., were a result of sin?
I I honestly never thought about the origin of volcanoes and whatnot when I was YEC. I more so was focused about about like the prehistoric creatures.
Okay.
So yeah,
And what do you think of that belief now when people say that?
I could definitely understand as to where they are. I could definitely see as to where they're coming from about that. It's because of how Ken Ham, you know, loves to heavily emphasize that whole idea of the fact that there was absolutely no destruction whatsoever before sin. So I could definitely see as to where they're coming from about it.
Okay. Sorry. So, since leaving Young Earth Creationism, you've been doing some debates and some counter creationism stuff on YouTube.
Hmm.
What inspired you to do that?
Honestly, it really was talking to Mary Schweitzer, and just yeah, and then um one of the reasons why I started doing debates is just so then that way a Christian won't have to feel like that they have to give up their faith over an old Earth and evolution, and it's just just after just after all that I just felt like that there needs to be like that. I, you know I, I just I just kind of felt like that this is something that I should definitely do, and yeah, and then once when I started getting into that community, definitely a lot of things changed in my life, and one thing I forgot to mention before I went to that YEC museum in 2018, I I met up with a biblical counselor, and then he told me about the Comro figures,
Oh,
um,
right.
and then after that, he mentioned, oh well, maybe the Earth only looks old, because of things like pollution. Say if you just bought a new shirt and you tear it up, throw mud on it and whatnot, it's a new shirt, but it just looks old. And so when he said that, I was like, hey, maybe he has a solid point.
But he doesn't.
That was what I thought,
Right, right, right.
and so then and that and that was honestly was one of my things like that I leaned on when I was a YEC, saying, oh well, it just looks old. But then after when I got creamed using using that argument, I
Right.
then realized, if that's the case, then God is being a deceiver.
Yeah, that's one of the things that bugs me the most about a lot of those different those claims about, oh, the world just looks like it evolved, because if you want to introduce an omnipotent deceiver, you can't know that anything is the way that it seems. You can't even know whether or not, like, let's just say that in order to correct to let's say that young Earth creationism is true and that the old Earth just looks old. Well, the problem is that now you've got a deity who, even according to your own theology, is willing to deceive people massively about fairly trivial matters. So why would you believe that the scriptures that teach you about him are true? How do you know that any of that's true? Because he's already been deceiving you about almost everything.
Right, about evolution and an old Earth, and especially when I saw that there are Christians who believe that the Earth is flat and that the Bible supports it. I was like, their interpretation of the Bible is so obviously wrong, and so and then that got me to think that maybe that Mayan interpretation was wrong.
Right.
And Mom, and maybe when you mentioned in one of your videos about how for the longest time I was starting to think that Behemoth was nothing more than just an elephant because of the nose piercing through, because of the nose that pierces through snares. But then when you mentioned that, some of the problems with that, and I was like, maybe I need to research it further because maybe there's something I'm missing about that yet again. And so then, so that I looked up what biblical scholar John Walton has said about it, and he pretty much argues like that Behemoth was just like a gigantic cow, and the fact that the tail light like a cedar tree. But yeah, like what we both have said, the cedar tree that the cedar tree that existed back then actually doesn't look anything like the tail of a dinosaur.
Right.
And the fact that the word moveth, and the tail like a cedar tree. I'm not trying to sound vulgar, but it's actually talking about its penis.
That's certainly one of the possibilities. Yeah. So I'm still getting some feedback. Are you listening to me on a high volume? Is there any possibility we can work on that?
Maybe I can turn the volume down on my PC.
Okay. Sorry about that. It's just it can be difficult to keep going with my sentences when I keep hearing myself back.
Right.
It's not that big a deal, though.
Oh yeah, so this was something that I forgot to brought up when I was in YEC. So I remember at this youth group, I unfortunately haven't had time to go because life. So I had a friend at that time. I told her that I was planning on going on a dinosaur dig, and then she brought up the same question that I had, and she asked, "Oh well, what about dinosaurs and the Bible?" And so then I thought, hey, why don't I take her to that same YEC museum that I went to? And back then, I would go to that museum as often as I could, but because that museum is 3 hours out, I couldn't go every day.
Right.
But I would go as often as I could. And so then I brought her there. And then then afterwards, she posted on Facebook about it. And matter of fact, I think that I sent you those pictures.
Oh, of the exhibits in the museum?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Did you maybe want to pop those pictures up if you blurt out their names?
Oh, you know what? I think I forgot to do that. I'm sorry. Crap. All right, you keep going with the story, and I will see if I can't fix that problem. Sorry.
Okay.
I feel bad. I forgot to do that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. People tend to forget things, and so yeah. So he'll work on that, and I'll go on about the story. So yeah. So this is exactly why that during my debate with Cody and Kent Hovind, I didn't get into the full story because there's so much to get into. I just pretty much gave a condensed version of it. And yeah, so
oops, sorry, I just covered your face accidentally.
Oh, it's all right. So yeah, and then when I posted that when my friend posted that on her Facebook, maybe it was just a friend of hers, an acquaintance or whatever. She then started to say, "Oh man, I can't believe that you two believe that." And then I was trying to defend YEC, but she was like, "Oh well, I'm not gonna be listening to you," and whatnot. Looking back on it now, I could definitely understand as to why that she felt that way.
Right.
Well, yeah, definitely so. And so the very first time that I ever went to that YEC museum, you know, because I was so heavy into research, I took pictures of the whole entire of every single exhibit that they had, you know, just so then that way, you know, say if I wanted to look back on one of their exhibits, I then could have it. And I even did the same thing like to the Malta Museum. Oh, interesting fact. So I mentioned this during my after show with Dapper after my Ken Hovind debate. So at the YEC Museum, they actually have a raptor called Julie Raptor, which
Yeah.
not that many people have heard of. And then at their and then at their exhibit at the YEC Museum, they said that there's only 2 of these in the whole entire world. And I was like, okay, well, where's the other one? And so then when I went to the Malta Museum, guess what they had? By complete surprise, the other Julie Raptor. And I was like, aha,
Nice.
now I see why. Yeah, now I see why that now I can see why that at the YEC Museum, like that they didn't tell you where the other one was, because the fact that it goes against completely against, you know, like the whole model of you know, like the whole model of the Glendive Dinosaur Fossil Museum. So I thought that that was very, very telling. And so the Glendive Dinosaur Fossil Museum, it actually used to be run by a guy by the name of Otis Klein, which what we saw in that documentary, Dragons or Dinosaurs.
Right.
But it was because of his age and his age, you know, starting to get to him. He was forced to retire, and so that's why the museum now is run by a guy by the name of Robert Cannon, however you pronounce his name.
I guess however he does.
What?
I said, I guess however he does. All right,
Yeah.
so I do have pictures ready. So give me a second, and I will shove them over to the main screen. And I'm sorry if... Oh, and we have a $3 super sticker from Jens van Broekhoven. Or sorry, €3. I don't know currencies, apparently. Apologies. So, let me see if I can't get the... what I think is the first... Oh, sorry. Let's see. Which one is first? I believe it's this one. Yeah. Went to Glendive to see some cool dinosaurs and learned how my belief in religion intertwines with them. Very cool stuff. Maybe changed my view on school and how I was taught. Thanks, buddy, for the wonderful adventure.
Yep, and then I then told her about how I owned that documentary Dragons or Dinosaurs, and she wanted to borrow it, and so then I let her borrow it. And then she mentioned how like that she was watching it with her roommate, and then her roommate was going, oh my goodness, I haven't ever heard of any of this. And yeah, so then it didn't just convince her, but also convinced her roommate too. And then I remember on the drive back, after when we were driving back, you know, from the museum, she and then said, "Man, I feel so dumb by the fact that, you know, I believed that dinosaurs went extinct because of the meteorite."
Okay.
But yeah, and I mean,
what was the second picture in this?
The other ones, like, was me trying to defend YEC against that one person who commented. I actually was wondering if maybe if you could bring those pictures up onto the screen, if that's possible.
They are on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not... Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. I see it.
Yeah. So, I think it starts here, I believe, with this picture here. Oh, sorry. This one here. Let's see. It goes against common sense. I'm not responding anymore. If you say so, then someone says beans. I'm not sure what the beans has to do with it.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess
have
it
no
comes
idea.
up here. So this is earlier. The Bible has been translated in man to fit modern day language. Very original Bibles use words modern day just doesn't use anymore. Then someone says, "Yep," and you can't make me believe the dinosaurs were here 5,000 years ago. You said there is evidence to support it if you just do your research. They don't teach you that at school because it goes against evolutionary theory. So we get some of that conspiratorial mindset coming in.
Right, yeah, and oh yeah, and I totally forgot to mention this. When I was exposed to all of like that flat Earth stuff, they're talking about conspiracy theories, and then all that, it really hit hard, like with me, because of the paranoia, the not understanding things properly, and so and then, and and yeah, and but yeah, I never would have thought that that the whole thing, like with flat Earth, like would be a reason for me to leave YEC, which is definitely not common for a lot of people's stories with YECs, and so and yeah, and yeah, and I mean, I will never forget just how much fun that I had messing with all those flat earthers. I mean, I don't do it anymore. It's because of the fact that I'm just so busy, like with preparing for college and whatnot. I am gonna go off to college to be a paleontologist and also a filmmaker too. And so,
Okay.
and yeah, but I mean, arguing with flat earthers, that definitely was the planting of the seed for me. Like with doing debates, I know that debating people through comments is different than doing it on camera. Like with my debates with Kent Hovind and Cody, but it definitely was a planting of the seed.
Okay. Now I have questions about your debates actually. So
Okay.
your first debate was with Kent Hovind, if I remember correctly, and
Mhm.
so you had said that you were a big fan of Ken Ham. How did you become aware of Kent Hovind? Because while he does have a fairly significant following, I find that overall he's actually a fairly minor player when it comes to professional creationism. Like the other professional creationists generally want nothing to do with him.
All right. So how I found out about Kent Hovind, and so I remember on this was the so it wasn't my first time going to the museum, to the YC museum. It was all the other times after that. Before then, I would pop in my I'll pop in my audiobook of Jurassic Park: What I Like by Michael Crichton,
Mm-hmm.
and so and then one day I just wanted to listen to like some YEC sermons about dinosaurs. So then I would type in dinosaurs and the Bible sermon, and of course, one of the ones that pop up are the ones by Kent Hovind.
Okay.
And so then on every single drive there and every single drive back, I would always listen to Kent Hovind's sermons about dinosaurs when he would talk about, about how the circles on the Ica stones, the dinosaurs have circles on them on their skin, but yeah, we also find circles in their fossilized skin. So,
That's what this is a picture of, isn't it? This is the circle. This is a picture of a Triceratops rosette pattern and an Icostone. It's hard to make up, but that's what we got.
Right,
here.
yeah, so I would listen to his sermons, and then he would bring up the whole conspiracy mindset about how they're trying to they're trying to negate Christianity with the millions of years. I mean, even Dr. Seuss has even joined in on the conspiracy.
Dr. Seuss. Oh yeah, he had a dinosaur book or something, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then he was saying, even Dr. Seuss is in on this, and they're trying to indoctrinate your children with that. But it's so ironic, and it's just the irony is they are trying to indoctrinate us with all this YEC propaganda. And
Yeah,
so,
that's one of the things that confuses me. So there's this whole like, oh, they're just trying to, trick your kids into believing in this, and it's like, okay, let's assume just for now that everyone sincerely holds their beliefs. Why is what they're doing substantially different in that just from the standpoint that there is a debate? I know there isn't actually a debate. Let's just pretend there is, and we'll just say that for the sake of discussion that everyone sincerely holds these beliefs. People trying to teach kids the things they think are true is the normal thing. It's not some horrible, nefarious conspiracy. I don't get why the conclusion is that there must be a conspiracy. Can't Dr. Seuss simply legitimately believe in the things that he's saying?
right, and also, I really don't think of Dr. Seuss as the conspiracy type whatsoever. Yeah, and then that was why that when one day I was talking to my friend Michael, who joined me on my debate with Cody, I was talking with him one day, and after watching a ton of debates on modern day debate, I then realized, hey, maybe I should debate AYEC. And so then that was why that I wanted it to be the topic, did dinosaurs live with humans? Because the fact that
That was a
because
big
the fact
topic for you.
right, it's a big topic for me. And so then I was trying to figure out, who should I debate. I was supposed to debate Standing for Truth, but then he decided to back out, which really surprised me because the fact that he seemed really, really, he really seemed like he really wanted like to do the debate. Then he backed out, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, actually, he challenged me to a debate again last night, or it was sort of a mutual thing, like maybe we should have a debate. And I told him to email me, and when last I checked, he hadn't. I don't know if that has changed. Although I'm actually honestly surprised that he wants to mirror last night's debate, and I'm like, you think that will make you look good? Okay, but so what did you think of Kent Hovind when you were a creationist? Were you aware that he is seen as sort of a whack job even within the young Earth creationism?
Well, honestly, when I was YEC, I honestly never even knew that people thought of him as a whack job, and I never even realized like that he even went to jail, for the whole tax thing. I didn't realize that. I wasn't aware of that up until when I thought that I should. It wasn't until when I went on Modern Day Debate when I saw all these comments, the people left about him saying, like saying how he's a whack job and saying how, about how he uses all these old young Earth creationist arguments and whatnot, and how he went to jail, and so then I thought with a Standing for Truth, I thought, maybe either he just got too intimidated, like to debate me because of the fact that how I've went on dinosaur digs and whatnot, and I'm pretty knowledgeable on dinosaurs. I mean, I will in no way say that I know beat for beat every single thing about dinosaurs. There definitely are people who are a lot more knowledgeable about dinosaurs than me. By the same time, though, I definitely am willing to learn a lot more. Is because of the fact that I feel like that's a big part of life is to progress, like to being better.
Mm-hmm.
And so and then after when Standing for Truth backed out, I thought that maybe he backed up because he got too intimidated, or maybe he just lost interest. I don't know. So that I was trying to think of somebody else to go up against. I thought about going up against Nephilim Free.
Oh, good old Nephi.
But after seeing about how that he loves to interrupt people, I thought that would take just too much patience.
Oh, and complain that people are interrupting him. That's the other thing he likes to do.
Right, and so I thought, that's just gonna take too much patience, and I don't want to put up with that. So and then I thought maybe I could debate Bill Morgan. Like Bill Morgan debated, he debated Tom Jump about the exact same thing on Modern Day Debate.
Wow, Joseph Grant, is that true? Joseph Grant just said, I assisted Mr. Crichton with his research for Jurassic Park, which is why one of the major characters is named Dr. Grant. He was one
Really?
tall man, like 6'10", I think.
I never knew that. And so
I did not know that you were the Grant in question there. Is that... So, basically we have Jurassic Park's Dr. Grant here. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what you're telling me?
I guess so.
Do we have a bona fide movie star? Wow, that is really cool. I did not know that you were that guy. That's awesome.
Could I have your autograph?
That is really cool.
And so going back to what I was saying, and then finally somebody then brought up that I should debate Kent Hovind. When somebody mentioned that, my eyes got wide. I was like, yes, that is perfect. It was because of how on all my drives back, besides that one, I would always listen to who? Kent Hovind when I was a YEC. I was like, yes, perfect. That's it.
Awesome.
And so,
that'll do it.
So,
I mean, it was similar for me. I had listened to a lot of his stuff when I was a young Earth creationist. Now, how did you find out about Cody?
So with Cody, after when I re-uploaded the debate on my channel, Cody left he left a comment on my channel saying that he wished that he debated me, is because the fact that Cody, even from a YEC, he admitted in the after show that we had with him, the fact that even he thought that Kent Hovind didn't do that very good.
I thought he could do better. Yeah.
Right, but I mean,
I don't think he did.
But let's be real here. But that's very common. Like for Kent Hovind, he usually doesn't do that very good because he always uses these same old refuted arguments.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, hey, if you want to have your chance to debate me, go right ahead. So it was originally supposed to be about the age of the Earth and if dinosaurs lived with people, but we both decided that would take too long. But what's funny is like that's what the debate pretty much ended up being about. Anyway. Cody was trying to make it more about how to interpret Genesis, not so much if dinosaurs live with people. And yeah.
Okay.
And so because I feel like that I debated that topic twice already, I don't want to keep doing that same topic forever. And so then that's why I uploaded a video pretty much saying that when I'm done taking my hiatus, like from doing debates, when I finally get back into it, so I decided to take this hiatus because the fact that I'm just so busy, like with school, that I'm just not gonna have time, like to do debates for a while because the fact that school is a lot more important. So I decided to take a hiatus, but when I come back, I wanted the audience to vote whichever topic that I will do next. The topics that I brought up.
Well, that's interesting. So get to Eric's channel so you can tell him what you want to see in future debates.
Exactly. And so the topics I mentioned was, for a topic of a debate, was Noah's flood local or global? Does humanity descend from Adam and Eve? Does the fossil record better explain... does the extinction of the dinosaurs, what better explains the data? The flood of Noah's day or the asteroid? And I also brought up, one other topic I brought up, if birds are dinosaurs, which is the same one that you did with Kent Hovind. I brought up if Christianity is compatible with evolution, which pretty much was about what which pretty much was my last two debates were essentially about were about anyway.
It did tend to come down to that.
Right, and let's see, what were the other ones? The Genesis flood being global or local, if humanity descends from Adam and Eve, the asteroid and Genesis flood dinosaur one, if birds are dinosaurs. I know that there's another one I'm forgetting.
Well, I'm sure
yeah,
if you guys
and,
go and check out the video, it'll tell you what that last option is. So
Right, yeah. And so I haven't gotten any more votes on it in a while. So that I definitely would appreciate to all of you watching, go onto my channel, and then you'll find a video in my uploads. It was uploaded recently. The title of the video is vote the topic of my next debate or something like that. When you see the title, it'll be super, super obvious.
yeah,
That it's it. And so then, go
and
to
Jens Van Broekhoven has subscribed. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Jens. That is awesome because there's I think the community of channels putting out science content is starting to grow right now, and it is not easy to get off the ground with YouTube. I'm really not off the ground with YouTube, if we're being honest. I'm still a very small... Oh, and Dragon Master also subscribed, so that is awesome.
Awesome.
And, we need to help support each other and, make sure people can see all of our content and things. So, yeah. Stay tuned with Eric because I'm especially looking forward to more of his debates. I know that, to some extent, live debates about creation evolution are not going to settle anything. But on the other hand, it's always fun to just go own creationists. And right. I also think that there is some value for people who might be on the fence sitting in the sidelines. Oh, Beach, thank you for coming by. I hope you have a good day. Thank you very much. Bye.
So, one other thing that I forgot to mention.
Oh, and Chris Love subscribed too.
Awesome. So me converting to theistic evolution has not been that very easy for me because of the fact that because of some of the churches I've gone to and some of my Christian friends and whatnot. I actually unfortunately have had relationships get seriously affected in a negative way over it. I was friends with this one guy named Trevor for the longest time, but then when I said that I was a theistic evolutionist, he actually is not even a Christian, and then he was insulting me, going, "Oh, you evolutionist," and then recently, I lost 3 friends over it because there was a severe misunderstanding. They thought that I was trying to force my beliefs onto them, when all I did was just state that this is my stance. And that friendship was ruined for about a few months, but then luckily for me that we got that resolved, and I got extremely lucky that I did, because of the fact that there are a lot of relationships that when that issue of religion and science get in the way, there are some where they will be ruined. Not ruined. Ruined. Some of them will be ruined permanently.
So I have a quick question. This guy wasn't a Christian. He was an anti-evolutionist. What was he?
He didn't say what his beliefs were. All that he said that he doesn't believe in God, and he also doesn't believe evolution either. And yeah, that since then, and yeah, and it also was pretty clear to me that he didn't understand science either, because when I was telling him the science of the Big Bang, he was saying, "Oh, sorry, but there's no proof of the Big Bang because that's why it's called the Big Bang Theory." And I'm like, you obviously don't understand. I mean, you're saying the same things what YEC say about evolution, and what flat earthers say about gravity, you obviously don't understand what a theory is in science.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the bigger problems in science education right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there's a widespread confusion about what scientific terms mean. Like, what's the difference between a hypothesis and a theory and a law? And because I remember being taught in school that hypothesis was sort of a guess, then it turns into a theory once you think it's probably true, and then once the theory is proven, then it can turn into a law. And it's like, no, not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how that works either. And and our education is pretty severe here in America. We actually are one of the most undereducated countries in the world, and then that's why I try to be as educated as I possibly can be. I will admit that my education is not perfect, but at the same time, though, I definitely am would like to progress it and to make it better. Like what I said before, that's what I believe life is about. Life is about not trying to progress to be perfect, because of course there is, I personally don't believe that there is even such a thing as being perfect, but you can definitely progress to being better. And I mean, especially to my understanding of science, that whole journey of dinosaurs and the Bible, it definitely led me to have a better understanding of science. And what was so crazy to me at that time, I had no idea that I was asking the biggest question of my whole entire life. And so then that was why that I took a lot of time. That was why that I thought that I should take my time looking into this whole issue about creation and evolution, because the fact that it's a really big topic. And I thought, hey, what's most important? Think for myself. And yeah, and that's what I definitely encourage for a lot of people. If you're not sure about something, about a big topic of any sort, I definitely strongly urge you, like, to try to get as best educated as you can possibly be about it, just so that you can fully understand it. And then when you educate yourself, and then that's when you should make formal decisions about it. And yeah, and yeah, and then that was very interesting. And going back to relationships, so I have mentioned this to Dapper. So the guy who now runs that YEC museum, the Kalendai Dinosaur and Fossil Museum, the one that I always would go to as a YEC. So I've been a part of the dinosaurs group on Facebook and the paleontology group on Facebook, and it's a public group, and so once you post something in that group, not only people in that group will see it, but people outside of it will see it too. And because I would post stuff about evolution and the Earth being old, I just assumed that guy that Robert guy saw all of my posts about it. So I just safely assumed that he knew that I'm no longer a YEC, but to my surprise that he didn't. It wasn't until when I posted on my Facebooks promoting to all my friends and family on there that, hey, I'm going to debate all these YECs. It wasn't until then when he finally clicked to his head that I'm no longer a YEC. And then he messaged me saying, hey, I saw that you're not a YEC anymore, and I'm just wondering, are you an old Earth creationist now? Yes, evolution? I'm just wondering, what changed your mind? So, if I were to tell him beat for beat everything, it would be too long of a message. So I condensed it as much as I could. And I knew that he wasn't going to like what I was going to say, because of course it goes against, the whole entire museum. And then afterwards, he he was like, "Oh well, thanks for being honest. Um, you know, would you maybe want to come down to the museum sometime and and like to challenge our and to challenge our exhibits and whatnot." I think that that pretty much was his way of trying to be polite and trying to think of a way to tell me like that he wants to try to convert me back.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, because the fact, of course, because the fact that you know
Emotionally stunted
he actually,
emoticon is back. What did you miss? You missed most of the story about becoming and leaving Young Earth creationism.
yeah, I mean it's too long of a story, and so then and what's interesting, so the guy actually has training at the at ICR,
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
and
That's the
so
Institute for Creation Research, in
so
case anyone doesn't know. It's a fairly long-standing and major young Earth creationism think tank.
right, and so yeah, and so then I told him, I'm just too busy like with school right now, so maybe later. And I also thought that maybe I could challenge him to an in-person debate. But yeah, and
That could be
so
interesting.
but also what I thought that I could do. Do you remember like when Bill Nye, like when Ken Ham like took Bill Nye onto like a tour of the Ark Encounter?
I do.
And and when like they had like the whole walking touring debate about it.
Yes, I do remember that.
I thought that maybe that I could do the same thing, but with Robert, like at that YEC museum.
Bring your own person to film too. Don't let him be the only one, just like Bill Nye did.
Yeah, and I also thought that maybe like a good way to like to expose your channel. I thought that maybe if it wasn't just me, but it actually was both of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, but unfortunately, because he lives further out than I do, that would be kind of hard to do. But but maybe sometime in the future we can definitely do that.
Well,
But
that would
yeah,
be cool. And I mean, I would say try to set up a date to do that and see if you can film it and go through, because it would be interesting to see, I mean, the museum, how he is explaining these things, how you're going to explain them.
but yeah, but the guy actually has done videos on YouTube, pretty much trying to argue as to why that you don't see humans and dinosaurs in the same rock layers and whatnot. And so I remember before that I came to that museum for the very first time, I watched some of his videos about it, and I thought that maybe that's sometime in the future, we then can do a commentary on them. And yeah, and the guy is very nice and whatnot, and and he tries to make all these young Earth creationist arguments sound as convincing as possible, which it was for me for the longest time. But then eventually I found out for myself that um um that evolution definitely does help to evolution just does a much better job like explaining the geologic column and whatnot.
Okay. Well, I think right now we should probably see if there are any questions from the audience, because I think some people do probably have some. So,
Okay.
and of course, there's going to be a little bit of a delay, but if you have any questions, get them in the chat. And of course, if you have any comments that you would like to make, right now I'm probably only going to read questions unless the comment comes in the form of a super chat, in which case I'll feel morally obligated to read whatever you write in there. So yeah, do we have any questions? And of course, start the story back over is not going to be a question that I'm going to answer. So
Yeah, I mean it's just too long of a story. So if you want to know the story, you could just rewind back and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also, if you in fact are a former young Earth creationist, or you know someone who is who you think would be good on the show, or you would like to come on the show, please email me, contact me on Twitter, do something like that, because I'm looking to have people tell their stories about this with as many people as we can get their stories out for. Because, they can share these with their social media. Eric, if you like, you can mirror this if you want to. Which
Okay.
actually, I should probably tell Erica that she can mirror this if she wants to. Yeah, so, you know, anything like that, let me know, and we can set something up. I already have reached out to a few people who are former YECs. So, and actually, Mary Schweitzer was a young Earth creationist, wasn't she?
Yes.
I should
Yes.
see if I can get her on.
He was. Yeah, and yeah, that reminds me. I've been meaning to, ask her, but
Well, get
but
on
yeah,
it, Eric. Come on, you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
you're killing me, Smalls. You chew it, of course.
All right, come on, guys. We have to have at least a few questions for Eric.
But yeah, I mean, of course, there has to be some. Oh yeah, so one thing I forgot to mention: when I was a YEC, when I went on a dinosaur dig, there actually is a fossil dig site that's not far from that museum whatsoever. It's run by Baisha's Dinosaur Digs. Even though that the people who run it are YECs, but they also do not promote like their dig site as being a young Earth creationist. What's the word? Like that. Oh, we're not trying to go out and prove that that they were on the ark, but they try to have like a wide appeal, like to people who aren't YECs. And when I went on my dig, I actually found an Edmontosaurus tailbone,
Look at that.
and I found an Edmontosaurus rib bone too.
Okay. So, we do have some questions now.
Okay.
So, the first one is from Jens van Broekhoven, who asks, did you think that fossils were false when being a YEC?
Did I think fossils were false?
Yeah, like fake, I guess?
No.
No? Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure if this is for you or for me. Are you going to AANCon in Phoenix, Arizona? Aaron Ra will be there. I am unaware of this, and so my answer is I don't know. Do you have an answer?
No, and I mean, I don't even live in Phoenix, and so that throws that out.
Okay. Although, actually, we met in Phoenix not that long ago.
Yes,
Yep.
we did, but I don't
No.
travel all that often because of, time and money,
Oh, I get that.
but yeah, and what's interesting is the fact that I've been on YouTube for over 10 years now, and I have had other chances of meeting some of my friends I met on YouTube, but none of them happened. And so I think I've told you this already, but you actually were the very, very first one who I have ever met in person.
Yep, that's true. So now you know for 100% fact that I'm actually a real dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So he can't confirm. He's seen me IRL.
Mm-hmm.
I am a dinosaur. All right, let's see.
Any more questions?
Trim Tarask asks, is pineapple on pizza evil? One of the great
I don't
questions of our
mind
time.
pineapple on pizza, but I would prefer not to.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting that.
My answer is that I wouldn't quite put it in the category of evil, but I am definitely against overall. Let's see. So this isn't quite a question, but I think you can speak about it. And Dragon Master said, to give him his full title, Dragon Master 0118. Because, there are at least 117 other Dragon Masters out there. Being a YEC and having a love for paleontology feels contradictory. Did you feel like that when you were a YEC?
Well, at that time, I felt like that it best. Like I said, I felt like that best explained the origins of dragons, and I thought that best explained why we saw all these fossils, because, like what Ken Hand said, oh, if there was a worldwide flood, you would find billions of dead things buried all over the earth. But then, like what I said, going to all those museums and Science versus the Ark Encounter and whatnot, and getting creamed, that definitely helped, for me to see that, it does not best explain the data whatsoever.
Okay. All right. So, from Joseph Grant, what was the one thing that caused you to evolve to your present state? Was there a defining moment? So, was there any one real big thing that pushed you?
Yes. So all of the things before then, like we're planting, okay, so think of it like the geologic column, layer after layer, and then all those layers eventually lead to lead like to what it is now. So then definitely like the final nail of the coffin, definitely what made me realize, oh yes, evolution is true 100%, and the fact that I've been misled was talking to Mary Schweitzer. And after that, I had like this eerie feeling in me, and it was an eerie feeling knowing that that I now see something what a lot of people refuse to even acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very eerie feeling.
Okay. We have another question from Trim Tarask, who asks, Coke or Pepsi?
I'm honestly not much of a soda guy, but I guess I would go with Pepsi. But I was gonna say a pun about it, but the problem is it would be so depressing.
So, for me, I'm primarily a Coke guy, and there are two there are two interrelated reasons for this. The first is Coke isn't as sweet as Pepsi, and I have a fairly... Compared to most people I know, I don't like sweet things as much as most people do. I am much more into savory flavors, and so when it comes to soda, I prefer one that's not as sweet. And because it's not as sweet, I also find it mixes better with liquor. So, there you go. Let's see. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions. I'm not seeing any currently. So, if you do have questions, get them in the chat. Because, you never know when it will be that you can next ask questions of Eric. Or even me. I don't always just open. Chocolate or vanilla? I'm going to assume ice cream.
But yeah, and so...
oh, wait. Chocolate or vanilla? You got to answer the question, man.
Oh yeah, sorry. I probably would go with vanilla. There's actually kind of a pretty good reason why I'm not a chocolate guy. Sorry to sound gross, but when I saw the video Two Girls in One Cup, that just made me just feel disgusted towards chocolate.
Well, I still haven't watched that, so yeah.
You dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I know. Everyone was like, "Oh, look at this video." I was like, "Nope, I don't have to see that." There's some things I can't unsee. So, anyway, so for me, if it's plain chocolate or plain vanilla, then it's probably vanilla, but there are definitely times when I like chocolate as a base to help carry other flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is from Illuminati Dawn. Did you believe birds are dinosaurs and that some dinosaurs had feathers when you were a YEC?
Well, that was one of the things I was planting of the seed for me to get away from YEC. So at that museum, they're trying to argue that, oh, birds are not dinosaurs. And then like that, they argue that, oh, Archaeopteryx was just a bird. But then afterwards, I was like, oh, well, what about Velociraptor and Deinonychus? And the thing that really contradicted themselves about it, they had like this model of Deinonychus there, like that had no feathers on it. And so then it was like, okay, so you're saying that Archaeopteryx is a bird, but you're saying that Deinonychus is a dinosaur?
Yeah, it's... Well, actually, Alan Fiducia says that Deinonychus isn't a dinosaur, that it's a flightless bird. So maybe they'll go with him on that one.
but yeah, and but yeah, and but yeah, and so and then eventually the evidence just became just too obvious by the fact the evidence that we see in embryology, which what I brought up with my debate with Kent Hovind, and I mean even the fact that Jack Horner has actually had a lot of success, like with evolving a chicken into a non-even dinosaur. I mean that's pretty good evidence too, like that
Yeah.
like that birds are modern day dinosaurs. And so, like what he said, if you're going to ignore the evidence for evolution, you're making God out to be a deceiver, and you may want to rethink your theology.
All right. From Luca Meduno, have you even tried gelato?
Have I tried gelato?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I have, although it's been a very long time. I do quite like it, but it's not all that easy to just go get around here. Um, let's see. From emotionally stunted emoticon to you, what are your thoughts on creationists now accepting that all nightshades, sorry, such as tomato, bell pepper, tobacco, etc., are related through grafting, yet still rejecting macroevolution?
Yeah, that's the thing. Even like some older creationists, they don't understand that microevolution and macroevolution is the exact same thing. I mean, it's like believing in inches and not feet. But but yeah, and but yeah, it's like with science, you can't just cherry pick. I mean, you have to let the evidence bring you to your conclusion. And I mean, we have overwhelming evidence for both. It's like, if you accept microevolution, well, then you'll also accept macroevolution without even realizing it.
Yeah, there
Because
really isn't a barrier.
right, because the fact that they rely on the same mechanisms,
Mm-hmm.
that being genetic mutation and natural selection. And one of the huge problems that a lot of Christians have, like with evolution and biogenesis, is because it gives a naturalistic explanation, but it even says in the Bible numerous times, like that God has used naturalistic things like an earthquake and whatnot to achieve what He wants. So then, in that case, there should be no reason as to why that God can use a biogenesis, evolution, and etc.
Right. All right, this next question is for me, and it's from Trim Tarask, and the question is, one long rest or 48 short rests? So here's the problem with short rests, right? They don't give you back any of the hit dice that you spent on healing. So eventually you're going to run out of hit dice, and the short rest isn't going to help much, so you have to take the long rest. However, I will say that the video game style healing in 5th edition is one of my pet peeves with the edition, and if I thought my players would tolerate it, I would probably switch to a healing system that's more like 3rd edition. And if I'm being super honest, I like to be a little bit gritty in my role-playing games, but again, players, they'll only put up with so much. I actually kind of like the healing system from the current edition of Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu, where you can take a major wound, and if you take a major wound, it significantly increases your healing time, and healing from injuries even without that is going to be a matter of days, not hours. Because I think it's fairly ridiculous to have people who, without any kind of magical ability, can go to sleep for a day and then sleep off having been stabbed by an orc. Not. It's a little bit too video gamey for me. Yeah, 3.5 has a special place in my heart. It's the edition I play the most, and it's the edition I still probably know the best for Dungeons and Dragons. It's one of the reasons why I've been hearing some really good things about Pathfinder 2, and it seems like it might be taking what I like about 3.5 and then taking out some of the things I didn't like about it, which, wasn't perfect. And so I'm interested to try and play that, but my problem is that I'm fairly well known amongst my friends who play role-playing games as someone who's willing to run games, which means anytime I suggest that we have a game, everyone just assumes that I'm going to run it, and then no one else is willing to. So I've actually had some of my friends like, hey, if you keep your ears to the ground, if you hear about someone who wants to run a game that I can be in, let me know, because I would like to sometimes take a break from running games. Which I know this is
Right.
off topic, but like, if you're someone who frequently does game master or dungeon master duty for your gaming group, you'll know how it is. It's like, it's a lot more responsibility and work. Like, I have a Dungeons and Dragons game coming up after this, and I'm running it, and it's, yeah, it takes up a lot of time to make sure that there's actually something for them to do every week, because that's my responsibility every week.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So is there any more questions for me?
yeah, let's. So we'll give it a few minutes, and if we don't get a question for you, I think we can probably. I think we could probably call it. I think we had a. We've definitely very thoroughly gone through the whole story. I think that was pretty great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, before then, I didn't go through all of it beat for beat because just lack of time and whatnot. But I do remember that at that museum, I purchased both of these books.
Chronicles of Dinosauria.
And there's also this one too.
Secrets. Untold Secrets of Planet Earth, the Dragons. Oh, someone shared that picture of Draco Rex in the dinosaur group, didn't they?
Yes, and one of the things the YECs love to argue is that it's called Draco Rex Hogwartsia, which of course which shows just how similar dinosaurs and dragons really are. But maybe the guy who named it or the person who named it was just a big Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, it's one of those like that's really the argument you're gonna go with is the name sounds Harry Potterish. Okay,
Right? Yeah, and
we have
Harry
a question.
Potter, of course, is fiction.
Double A or triple A, and I'm going to double check my touch controller for my Oculus Rift and see what it has in it. Because I'm just going to go with whatever the answer is for that. And why is it being a pain in the butt?
But yeah, a question. Question for the people watching.
Double A.
Question for any of you. Have any of you seen a documentary on YouTube called Forbidden History, Dinosaurs and the Bible?
Yeah, that's a. Have you sent that to me, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm pretty sure I saw it.
Yeah.
I think it was
that one was
bit
the
ago.
big one. Like what?
I think it was a bit ago. Oh, we have a question for you from Illuminati Dawn. Does Eric plan on debating Kent Hovind again?
Yes. I do want to debate him again. I've been wanting to debate him again about if dinosaurs live with people, but I thought because I don't want to keep doing that topic forever, otherwise it's going to be too redundant.
Yeah.
I thought that, I thought maybe I could debate him again about any of those topics. But yeah,
Whoops.
so it definitely would be interesting to hear now that I say it, one of the things that he argues is that the reason why they don't see dinosaurs and humans in the same rock layers is because they were all running up a hill. It's like that is one of the dumbest things I have ever heard.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. This is for me from Translator Cranium. What do you think of empire building strategy games? Have you ever played one? I love them. So I have played Total War Warhammer and the sequel Civilization. Sorry, 4, 5. Let's see. I've played several space games like that, like Stellaris and Galactic Civilizations. I generally enjoy them. I think. I mean, it's fun to sink yourself into, and they can be fairly immersive, even if they're turn-based. So there's that. Oculus Go or Quest, whatever the second version of the consumer version was, is the one I currently have. I can't remember what it was. It's the one that does require the PC. Let's see. I think that is it for questions, and so we have, looks like I don't think anyone is claiming that they have seen it. So we have Emotionally Stunted Emoticon is he thinks he saw it, but he's not certain. Maya never saw it, and Maya, way to make it late. Come on, Maya. What are you doing? You're asleep at the wheel. I'm just kidding. I love you, Maya. Let's see. Luca Medunio has not seen it. Trim Tarask has not seen it, but he wants to.
But yeah,
Eric, what is your favorite dinosaur?
But yeah, the reason why that I ask you is because that that definitely was a huge planting of the seed for me as to coming to YEC, and then say if you're somebody who is not educated about the geologic column and whatnot, it definitely would be very, very convincing to that person. But but people like us who are very educated about it, yeah, it's definitely it's definitely not very convincing, especially at the end is when they start to argue about cryptozoology.
Oh, and yeah, it always gets into that.
And what was funny, so then a coworker of mine saw my debate with Ken Hovind, and then he walked up to me saying, Ken Hovind was really grasping like at a lot of straws, like by using cryptozoology.
Oh yeah. And the thing is that cryptozoology is fun, right? But it's fun in the way that fiction is fun. Like, it's a cool little story. But we do have the question from Trim Tarask. What is your favorite dinosaur? And you better get this right.
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, of course, you're going to want me to say that it's Ceratosaurus.
Yeah.
But honestly, because of the fact that it's been my favorite dinosaur since I was a kid, I would have to say Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, get out of here. You're done. No more Eric on the Dapper Dino channel.
I'm sorry that
out
I
of here.
betrayed you.
Look, it's not even my favorite dinosaur, Ceratosaurus, I'll be honest. That's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, your favorite dinosaur must be Ceratosaurus. I'm like, nope. Don't read too much into that. Let's see. From Jens van Broekhoven. First, Jens, you're not being annoying. We're looking for questions. Why did you think our fossil records were incorrect, even as a YEC?
Why do I think that the fossil record is incorrect to be interpreted with the YEC worldview?
No, I think what he's asking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jens. So when you were a YEC, you would have had to think that the sort of mainstream interpretation of the fossil record was incorrect. What reason do you think people had that they were interpreting it so incorrectly? Like, why did you think that was a reasonable conclusion to reach?
Well, at that time, I thought the scientists were trying to explain away God, but then going to Museum of the Rockies and all that, and then especially talking to Mary Schweitzer was when I discovered for myself like that scientists are not trying to do that whatsoever. I mean, yes, there are some scientists who do advocate for anti-religion, but it's also not the whole entire scientific community. The bottom line is the job of a scientist is to follow the physical evidence, regardless what their beliefs are.
Okay.
And that conspiracy mindset. And also, what's interesting, according to research, if you believe one conspiracy theory, it's definitely possible that you can believe another one. But yeah, the scientists trying to explain away God, and that they're trying to hide Mokele Memble. Those were the only conspiracy theories that I ever believed. I never believed the Illuminati. I never believed the flat Earth. I never believed the moon landing was faked, or that 9/11 was fake, or that the Sandy Hook was fake and whatnot. Those were the only ones that I ever believed. And
okay.
And doing the research about flat Earth, it definitely gave me a much better understanding of conspiracy theories.
All right, now, so if you have questions, get last ones in, because we're coming up on 2 hours, and like I said, I do have other things that need to get done. So if you have last questions, get them in, because we're probably going to close up pretty soon. And if you don't, that's fine too. So we do have a question from Translator Cranium. Has Eric ever told Dr. Schweitzer what a difference she made in his life? I think she'd love to hear it.
I actually didn't tell her that about how big of a difference that she made, which I actually never even realized that I never even told her that. So I definitely appreciate that person mentioning that. And so then next time that I talk to her, I definitely should.
I've been mispronouncing his name. It's Translator Carminum. I'm sorry. I just glanced over it. Translator Carminum. Man, now I feel like a jerk.
It's all good, but yeah, I definitely should bring that up next time I talk to her. And then she also recommended me books to read, and then reading those books, it also definitely, but yeah, it definitely gave me a better understanding of how to better interpret the Bible and whatnot. She recommended Creation or Evolution, Do We Have to Choose by Dennis Alexandra, and she also recommended How I Changed My Mind about evolution.
All right. Well, I think we're probably going to start wrapping up.
Okay.
So if you have not already, and I know several of you have, and thank you very much. So go check out Eric's channel, give him a like, check out his debates, which are also linked in the description. Give those a watch, give them a like, help support the channels that they were on. I believe one was on Kent's channel, wasn't it? So don't support that channel too much. But
yeah,
support Eric's channel.
But yeah, my debate with Ken Hovind was originally on Praise I Am That I Am's YouTube channel, and then Standing for Truth, then then he re-uploaded it onto his channel, and then after that I re-uploaded it on to mine.
Okay, I'm not sure which one I put in the description. I hope I put the one to yours. If I didn't, remind me later, and I'll try to fix that. And Translator Carminum, actually, oddly enough, believe it or not, mentioning that the second word there is Latin genitive plural will probably help me remember. I don't know why, but it probably will. So, as far as channel news for this channel goes, Monday there is going to be another episode of Things That Aren't Dinosaurs, this time about crocodilians. That will come out. It'll probably be premiering at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So please stop by for that. If you would like to help support this channel, in addition to liking and sharing, which please do, those actually help a lot more than you think they do. People who don't have active YouTube channels, I guarantee you don't know how much a like and a share is helping. So if you'd like to do help in any other way than that, there are several options in the description. I have a Patreon starting at $1. And just go get $1. You could watch that Crocodilians video right now if you wanted to by pledging for any amount. I have a Amazon wishlist and a merch store. So if you want Dapper Dino on a t-shirt or a hoodie or a bag or a pillow or a canvas print or a baby onesie, it's all there. You can just put me on whatever you want. So check that out. Let's see. I am probably going to be streaming onto my off-topic channel tomorrow. Not exactly sure when. I'm going to figure that out. But that will be probably more of my language creation, which I'm working on a language for fantasy dwarves for fun. So check that out. I'm going to be doing some sound changes. We're going to be incorporating some grammar. A Dapper Dino pillow sounds weird. I agree, it does sound weird, but it's also one of the highest definition images of me that you can get, and it's like a throw pillow, not like a bed pillow. So it's more for like a couch. But one of my patrons got one, and he shared pictures of it in the patron Discord server. It's very nice. But thank you very much for coming. Eric, thank you very much. And we were going to be working out.
One last final thing. Please go onto my channel, and then go onto that video, about where you can vote the topic of my next debate, because I haven't gotten any more comments on it in a while. So I definitely would appreciate getting a lot more votes on that. on that video. So then please go do that. And yeah, and thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all of your questions. And yeah, then please check out my channel, and thank you all so much.
All right, thank you very much. And Translator Carminum, I do read that, and that is pretty cool. Come by on my off-topic channel. We can talk about that when I'm streaming. All right, bye everybody.
Bye bye.